Hi, my name is Leandra Garcia. I'm a nursing major, and to me, democracy means when citizens in a society have a say or input or the potential to advocate for any ideas that they want to see in their government or ruling class, and those are actually taken into account rather than having something like a monarchy, which one person or one group of people would rule without the opinion of those who are ruled, if that makes sense.
Hi, I'm Marissa. I'm a senior special education major, and I think democracy is when everyone has the freedom to vote and everyone has a say in the government.
My name's Kayla. I'm a sophomore psych major, and democracy is freedom.
Hi, my name is Jordan Chimber, and I'm majoring in neuroscience at the University of South Carolina. And what democracy means to me is a form of government that gives power to the people through elected representatives and certain laws put in place to ensure that the liberties of the majority are secured, and it allows for debate and decisions to allow the people to really decide what's best for them.
Hi, I'm Izzy. I'm a sophomore. I'm a sports management major, and democracy is the right to vote.
My name is Mergam Kolovsky. I'm a senior sport management major, and to me, democracy is the right to choose.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm a special ed major, and I think that democracy is a system of government where the people who are being governed, get to vote and sort of like majority rules, and those are the decisions that get made. So, like for example, we're considered a democracy because our people vote, and then our decisions go up and up and up, and like we're picking the people who make the choices. So even though I might not directly be voting on a law, it's still a democratic practice because I chose the government official who's voting on the law. So either way, like the people are at the base layer being represented all the way up to the top 3 levels.
Hi, my name is Maxine Muscatello. I'm a senior nursing major, and I think democracy is the right to choose and have a say in government.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Orlana. I'm a social work major, and I think democracy is a form of government that is elected by the people.
The historical definition of democracy from a historian perspective is the idea that the citizens of a country should take an active role in the government of their country and manage it directly or through elected representatives. The origin of American democracy owe a debt to the ancient civilizations of Greece and Rome, the Protestant Reformation, and Gutenberg's printing press. Enlightenment of the 17th century Europe has the most immediate impact on the framers of the United States Constitution. The causes of the creation of democracy are many ideas such as economic development, natural resources, values and religions, education, and many freedoms for association, power to exercises in accordance with law and expression and opinion. Democracy is commonly associated with the ancient Greeks, who are considered the founders of Western civilization. They attempted leverage these early democratic experiences to foster new templates for political organization. The United States became democratic from the 1630s within the New England colonies. The legislators of the New England colonies at first were governed with popular assemblies, with every free man eligible to directly vote in the election of officers and drafting of laws. Reflection of democracy within the United States of America is that our government is elected by citizens, where citizens vote for our elected government officials. These then elected officials will represent the citizens' ideas and concerns. The word democracy means common people with their force and might. The term democracy appears in ancient Greek political and philosophical thought during Athens.
Throughout history, many figures have made several arguments in favor of democracy. Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, John F. Kennedy, and Barack Obama each made distinct arguments at several points in history. Thomas Jefferson's political belief was an absolute acceptance in the decisions of the majority. He believed that the will of the people, expressed through elections, provided the most appropriate guidance for directing the public's course. Jefferson also felt that the central government should be rigorously frugal and simple. As president, he reduced the size and scope of the federal government by ending internal taxes, reducing the size of the Army and Navy, and paying off the government's debt. His literal and strict interpretation of the Constitution caused him to limit the federal government. He also believed in the protection of civil liberties and minority rights. Before Andrew Jackson, presidents commonly rose to political prominence through family background and therefore landed wealth in the original 13 colonies and were able to receive an education. Andrew Jackson had a humble background and roots in Tennessee. These beginnings made him a powerful metaphor for the self-reliance of the common man. John F. Kennedy faced vital international issues during his political career, including the Cold War and the nuclear arms race with the Soviet Union. In his inaugural address, he stressed the conflict between the free world and the communist world, and pledged that the American people would pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and success of liberty. In his speech, A More Perfect Union, Barack Obama called for several changes. Our nation had been experiencing ongoing discrimination, but rather than highlighting the flaws in our union, Obama celebrated the men and women of every color and creed who serve together and fight together and bleed together under the same flag. He called for unity to address the problems of our country rather than more opposition. He stated, "I believe deeply that we cannot solve the challenges of our time unless we work together to solve them. Unless we perfect our union by understanding that we may have different stories but common hopes, that we may not look the same and we may not come from the same place, but we all want to move in the same direction." Obama maintained an emphasis on unity throughout his presidency.
Does this content reinforce oppressive norms, stereotypes, or trauma?
This content does not reinforce any oppressive norms, stereotypes, or trauma. When creating the content, we made sure to be respectful and mindful of others and their feelings. This content is intended to be educational and informative.
Is the resource supportive of the predetermined inquiry, standard, or learning objective?
D2.civ.4.3-5 explains how groups of people make rules to create responsibilities and protect freedoms. The resource supported the standards by explaining how many political figures came together in order to create responsibilities and protect our freedoms.
Is the source clearly connected to one or more of the social studies disciplines?
The source is connected to both civics and history, as the idea of democracy was created in 508 BCE and has continued to have an impact in today's history.
Does the resource have any elements or normalization, idealization, or heroication?
The resource does not have any elements of normalization, idealization, or heroication, as it is based off the U.S. history exactly as it happened.
Is the resource created by someone with a deep knowledge of the community?
The resources used within our community has a mixture of deep knowledge and vague knowledge, as this is the younger generations. In the end, we need to educate all of our young people more in our school systems and throughout our communities. Education starts with advocacy for the right choices to better the generations to come in the future.
Does the resource engage students in thinking and questioning?
As students watch the resource, they will be encouraged to create their own definition of democracy.
What questions, connections, and confusions do you anticipate students having based on previous discussions and your knowledge of their interests in learning?
They may make connections to their previous learning about U.S. presidents and how they chose to run the country while in power, and also how they worked their way up to the power.
What are the explicit and implicit messages of this lesson? Do they lead to anti-oppression?
The explicit message is we clearly define democracy and what historical figures contributed to running a democracy. And the implicit message is that they can internalize the idea of who has been a part of the democracy.
Overall, there are many definitions of democracy. Students believe that democracy is a form of government that grants us freedom and the right to vote. Historians have stated that democracy is the idea that the citizens of a country should take an active role in the government of their country and manage it directly or through elected representatives. The anti-oppressive definition of democracy says we as a community need to build up our toolkits to be effective communicators. This requires us to look and listen to how our communication style is working for the other person and to change things to move forward towards the other person. It means we move away from the rules about communication and towards effectiveness. In simple terms, democracy is a way of governing which depends on the will of the people.